Hey, imagine being a black belt in Jiu Jitsu and then you go and train with a guy who's been doing Jiu Jitsu his entire life and is, like a black belt under Royler Gracie and a 5-time world champion, absolute champion, Pan American champion, fought in MMA and all of that. And then after you train with him, he just tells you straight up that you're a bad black belt. Wouldn't that be very embarrassing? Well, that's exactly what I saw happen at my school with my professor, Eduardo Rocha. This black belt walked in, trained with Eduardo, and Eduardo at the end said, "Man, you're not even a good black belt." I was a purple belt at the time, and I couldn't even understand. I said, "How could that be? How could that be?" But over the years, I realized that it is really a possibility. And the possibility comes from not having a solid foundation. And we have like modern jiu-jitsu now where it's so much of a sport that a lot of schools don't teach the self-defense aspect to it. And they're playing an inverted guard or a deep half guard or some kind of position where they could just get blasted in the face in a real fight. And some people in jiu-jitsu nowadays never even thought about getting punched in the face while they're doing their techniques. And so, it's really valuable to have somebody who thinks about jiu-jitsu as like a complete martial art and not just a sport. And that's why I'm so grateful to have my professor, Eduardo Rocha, because he's a 5-time world champion. Of course, he knows the game from a sports perspective, but he also knows the game coming from like a real self-defense perspective. And I think that we as martial artists, it's great to win a world championship title, but I think it's really important that we look at the whole art and try to absorb as much of the art as we can and try to teach the entire art and not just the sporting aspect to it, but the martial art aspect, the self-defense aspect to it. And I will always be so grateful to my professor Eduardo for teaching me jiu-jitsu in that way.